Scott, nice to meet you.
You too.
I was prepared to call you SK. I wasn't sure, so
No,
that's
it's all good. Either
okay.
way.
But yeah, nice to meet you, and congrats on Subservience. I thought it was a really cool movie.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. No, it's good. It's good hearing people enjoy it after you spend so many years of your life on one project.
Yeah, yeah, I can only imagine. But yeah, I mean, it's very, pertinent, a lot of pertinent ideas in it. So yeah, it was really cool. And Megan Fox, of course, I've grown up watching her on the big screen, and of course, you've worked with her before on that great movie Till Death. So I was going to ask, uh, having worked with her, I mean, with Subservience, is she kind of acting as a muse here, or is it just sort of like you guys had such a wonderful time working together the first time around that here you are for the next one?
Yeah, I think having done the first movie with her when we were developing this, I kind of felt like, oh, this would be really interesting seeing her approach this role. I definitely had this kind of this feeling of Jennifer's body that I thought, this
Oh
in
yeah.
terms of character arc and going into the darkness elements and everything that I think only in recent years people have really that love for that film has kind of uh resurged. And so I wanted the more I kept thinking about her for this role, the more I kept thinking of all these different elements. And yeah, having worked with her before, I think for a film like this, that where we have, intimate scenes and stuff like that, I think you really need to have that trust between the director and the performer, because things can come out the other end feeling clunky and everything like that, and you really want to have someone that's going to create an environment that you want to work in and everything. And I thought we worked really well in that first film, and having her come into this film here, it was really fun. It was really kind of great to be like, okay, we've done this, we've done this performance, now let's do something completely different and let's push you in this direction. And she was all game to play it, so it was awesome.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and she was great. And I was curious, could you talk about your approach and her approach, how you worked together to sort of come up with how she was going to portray Alice, as a robot. Because, there have been AI, sci-fi movies in the past. So I was curious if, your approach with Alice, if there are any sort of unique things that came to mind when you were approaching the character that you were excited to try out with Megan or anything like
For
that.
sure. I think the challenge with our film was the actual intimate scenes that we're kind of leading towards.
Right.
We had to find that fine line between this robotic performance, and having enough emotion there to kind of pull those scenes off. And I think uh, when her first day on set, we kind of discussed this idea, and she really came up with this thing where she wanted to be like a ballerina. She wanted her movements to be slow and precise, and her posture kind of upright and everything. So we really kind of played into that element, and had gave every movement and everything had to kind of feel very coordinated, very precise, and I think that kind of makes it. It just always reminds you, because we have, she's ultra real. We're not kind of going in a direction where she has to, she's got, prosthetics and everything over her face. So have that movement is always a continuous reminder. And even the idea of not blinking. I remember a few times, I would say, let's try it again, but try not to blink as much as possible in this take. And we even within the editing process, we're cutting out certain things and certain blinks here and there, just to really continuously remind you of that. But it was so much fun, because it is like it was probably one of the most nerve-wracking things of that. It was her performance. How do you kind of come in with and focus on making it the audience kind of buy into this element later on, but also it's a sci-fi film. You want to play around with the that genre a bit more, and you got a robot and all this. So it was actually kind of even more exciting towards the end, when there's more damage, there's more glitching and stuff like that to play with. That's where we were like, let's go a little bit crazy here. And we did try, certain takes where we kind of have her kind of really glitching out, and then certain takes where we kind of lose a lot of it. And it was like, let's just explore it. You know, this is a safe space. We can do what we want and we can figure it out later, what's going to work and what's not. And I think for the most part, we kind of went with the more glitching elements and playing around with that, because once you add the sound design, the visual effects and everything like that, it all just kind of, yeah, melted together nicely.
Yeah, 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 it was. And that sounds like fun too. I remember I was like, towards the end, I kind of like looked away for a second when she glitched, and then I thought there was like something wrong with my TV, you know. And I was like, because but then I was like, oh, that's great, so yeah, those are really fun moments. And yeah, I bet I'm not surprised it was fun behind the scenes. So that's great. Cool. Is there, and now that you know Megan so well, having worked with her for these projects, is there something you can share about her that you think maybe the average moviegoer has wrong in their mind about Megan Fox as a performer or an actor?
um, I
Or
mean, I
maybe
feel,
something surprising where you're like, oh, you'd never
yeah.
believe,
Do you know
but
what really shocked me? I'll say this about it. What really shocks me, she has the greatest photographic memory I've ever
really?
seen. Her ability to learn some of the exposition that we have, and on the day of, she was rocked up on set, and I'm like, I'm really sorry, but I've just kind of rewrote this monologue, or rewrote these lines for you. Can you quickly learn these as quickly as possible? And she would just look at him, and then she'd be like, great, got it. And then she would just nail it. And I wish I had that kind of photographic memory. That's for sure. It is yeah, it's almost robotic, that her memory.
Yeah, talk about meta, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure my wife would really appreciate if I had photographic memory. I'm constantly forgetting everything she tells me.
Don't worry, I'm right there with you.
Such is life. Is there besides Subservience, of course, is there a favorite AI centric or just general sci-fi movie that's a favorite of yours? Just a favorite of yours, or maybe something that you love that you found maybe was kind of bleeding into Subservience a bit as sort of an inspiration or influence.
Yeah, I mean, there are the kind of big ones out there where you've got Ex Machina, and you've got
Of course.
the Terminator. Those two pillars are there. I would say, in terms of like production design, and I mean, and sci-fi in general, and just as one of my favorite films ever, like I really love Children of Men.
Oh yeah.
Um, I love the kind of groundedness and the reality that that world kind of brought into it, and it felt like this dystopian future that it just felt so tangible, and everything like that. So I was kind of always like aware of that, like it's one of those films that feels futuristic, but it's kind of degraded in a way that feels so real and so present. And I just, yeah, I always have that movie in the back of my mind, and just the way it kind of explores themes. It doesn't have to like really hit it on its head. The way it kind of will just like explore a theme within a scene and stuff like that. I love that film. I really like every year I'll come back and watch it. And yeah, it's just one of those things that I'm like, it's probably my island film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good choice. I had that movie on DVD growing up, so I've seen it so many times. And yeah.
It popped out of nowhere for me, because I just hadn't heard of it, and I was at film school, and I watched it, and my mind was just blown, and I was like, what, why is no one talking about this
Yeah.
film? So it kind of, yeah, it just really snuck into my life in this way. And I think that's what made it so influential to me, was just like the fact that I was like, this is my gem. No one else here in film school wants to talk about it. And I would kind of come in and explore a scene with with our cinematography teacher, and these incredibly long sequences that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
shot. One day I'll shoot something like that long, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's an intense way to approach it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're talking about that one because yeah, I don't think enough people are. And when I like in my film classes, people would talk about just like, that super long take, but the only reason people were talking about it is certain snobs would be like, "Oh, I can see the cuts. Like I can pick out the cuts. It's not actually 7 minutes. I'm like, okay, you're super annoying. I don't care. It's still an amazing shot, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, it's a good one. And
yeah.
also, I wanted to ask, I was reading the production notes and I understand, I mean, I imagine you're still a relatively new parent, right? In real life, having lost.
Yes.
So
Yes.
congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And,
No, he's amazing. He enjoys his sleep as much as his mother, which is a blessing. Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, I have a 16-month-old at home, so
Oh
she's
wow. Yeah.
like a baby and technically a toddler. But I was gonna
I'm
ask,
excited for that. I'm excited for that time where they start to walk around and
yeah,
communicate and everything. Right now, he's just kind of looking around, and every now and then he'll focus on you. You know, he'll make eye contact, and you're just like, "Oh my god, that is the
yeah,
greatest thing that's ever happened to me."
yeah. Oh yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah, she's talking a lot of gibberish these days, but it's a lot of fun. But yeah, you'll get there. But I was curious, as having that experience, did as you were developing the script and even just in general throughout the production process, did you find that being a real life dad and taking on a story like this, did you find that it was, influencing certain storytelling decisions you were making or
Well, the funny thing is that I wasn't a parent yet while we were
Oh
making the
yeah, of
film,
course.
and
Of course.
so I'm there are certain there are
I'm
certain
sorry. I'm trying to like
sequences. No, no, no. But I think it's a fascinating question though, because now that I've made the film, I get to kind of look at it again as a parent, and
right.
there are certain sequences in there that I think are uh I don't know. You know, there's a bathroom sequence without giving spoilers that I'm like, I don't know if I would want to direct that as a parent now.
Right.
Um, you know, you just and it was something that we bumped across with some of the producers and everything. And I'm trying to like reprocess things and be like, were they parents? Was it just hitting him, you know, in an emotion, you know,
Yeah.
emotional core that I just hadn't unlocked yet.
Right. Right.
um, but yeah, I haven't actually watched that sequence since I've become a parent, and like for that exact reason. I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch that and be like, what is wrong with me as a director? Like, who was I?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is a fascinating element. I mean, I definitely think in terms of McCallie coming into this project, you know, he's a parent, and really having him embrace that role and create this environment with the children and everything that felt, you know, exciting to them and playful. And you know, when they've got all this crew around them surrounding and cameras in their face, it can be terrifying for an adult, let alone a child. So I think having, you know, him, Megan, and Madeline really help create a fun environment for them. Really, I think sells, you know, and you see their performances on the screen, you know, I think it comes across really well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it definitely does. And yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess I was thinking like, oh, if you knew, if you were expecting, during the were you expecting a child during the production process, or was it even too early for that?
No, it was still early.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because these
Uh
things take a long
it
time, I know. So
definitely we were kind of, you know, I was married at that stage, so your mind is starting to kind of clock into that element. It was actually more like, oh, you know, we want to try, but we have this film coming up. Maybe we should just hold off for a second. Um, but yeah, I kind of, yeah, there's an alternate universe where I was a father
yeah.
before making that film, and that would be really interesting to
Yeah.
see how the differences by the end.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Well, cool. Well, I just want to say congratulations again. I can't wait for everyone else to see this movie. So, yeah, thanks for taking the time to chat with me.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, take